right, everybody, buckle up, because we are diving deep into a century that makes a triple shot of espresso look like nap time. We're talking 17th century Britain, the Stuart era. It's a wild ride of religious drama, mind-blowing science, and family dynamics that would make your head spin. You with me?
Oh, absolutely. It's like someone hit the fast forward button on history. And we're not just talking about kings and queens here, although there's plenty of that too. This is about how everyday life was transformed by new ideas, new discoveries, new ways of thinking about the world.
It's giving paradigm shift.
100%.
So our main source material for this deep dive is, of course, the text, pasted text. And one of the first things that jumps out is this phrase, revolution in thought. It sounds intense, so break it down for us. What exactly does that mean, and what's fueling it?
Well, imagine a world where everything you thought you knew about religion, about science, even about politics is suddenly called into question. That's the 17th century in a nutshell. And one of the biggest drivers of this upheaval, the Protestant Reformation.
Right, because before this, it's pretty much been the Catholic Church running the show for, what, 1,000 years?
Pretty much, yeah. So the Protestant Reformation isn't just about people switching denominations. It's a fundamental shift in power and authority. And as the Catholic Church's grip loosens, it opens the door for new ideas and new religious groups to emerge.
Like the Puritans. The text mentions them quite a bit, especially their influence on merchants and the gentry. By the way, was the gentry like the influencers of their time?
That's not a bad analogy. They were the educated elite, the trendsetters, if you will. And because Puritanism emphasized hard work, morality, and education, well, their beliefs had a real impact on society as a whole.
Okay, so new religious landscape, got it. But what happens to the old guard, the Anglican Church?
Yeah.
How do they handle all this change?
Not easily. The text talks about a weakening of their intellectual authority, which makes sense. They're facing challenges from all these new Protestant groups. But here's the interesting thing. This turmoil also creates space for some seriously incredible writers to emerge. Think John Bunyan, John Milton, both deeply influenced by the religious debates of their time.
So we've got a religious revolution in full swing. But at the same time, there's another revolution brewing, the scientific revolution. And one name looms large here, Francis Bacon.
Francis Bacon, talk about a game changer. He completely revolutionized how we think about knowledge.
What do you mean? What did he do differently?
Before Bacon, knowledge was seen as something passed down from ancient authorities. Aristotle, the Church Fathers, you name it. Bacon said, hold on, let's look at the world with fresh eyes. He championed observation, experimentation, what we call the inductive method. You test your hypotheses with evidence.
So basically, the birth of the scientific method as we know it.
Exactly.
And this leads to some seriously groundbreaking discoveries, right? I mean, we're talking William Harvey mapping out blood circulation, Isaac Newton dropping those famous laws of motion.
It's like the universe is suddenly revealing its secrets. And it's not just individuals making these breakthroughs. Institutions like the Royal Society are founded during this time, providing a space for scientists to connect, collaborate, push the boundaries of knowledge even further.
It's like the Silicon Valley of its time. But all this is happening against a backdrop of massive social and economic change, too. The text describes London as this bustling, booming metropolis, practically bursting at the seams.
Think about it. Better transportation meant more people could travel to London. Trade explodes. The population skyrockets. Coffee houses are popping up everywhere. You've got intellectuals debating the latest theories, entrepreneurs hatching new schemes. It's a city buzzing with energy and possibility.
It makes you want to hop in a time machine, grab a cup of coffee, and just soak it all in. But with all this societal upheaval, I can't help but wonder, how did family life change during the Stuart era?
Well, it's complicated, as family matters often are. The text mentions some interleading trends, longer breastfeeding periods, for example, and some shifts in marital patterns, though it's not entirely clear what's driving those.
So some things are changing. But what about women's overall status in society?
That's a big question. And unfortunately, it's not a simple answer. The text points to a decline in women's legal rights, especially concerning property, which, let's be honest, is a major step backward.
Not the direction we want to see things going.
But at the same time, there's evidence that women, especially in Scotland, were finding more opportunities for leadership and influence within their religious communities.
So it's a mixed bag.
It always is, isn't it? Progress is rarely a straight line.
Wow, okay. We have gone from religious debates to scientific breakthroughs, explored a bustling London, and even peeked inside the evolving British household, all in the span of a single century. So if we had to distill the Stuart era to one takeaway, what would it be? What's the one thing our listeners should carry with them from this deep dive?
I think it's the sheer magnitude of change. The Stuart era reminds us that even deeply rooted institutions and beliefs can be challenged and reshaped, and that those changes often happen in unexpected and messy ways.
It makes you wonder what earth-shattering changes we're living through right now that we'll be discussing centuries from now, doesn't it?
Absolutely, though I suspect our AI overlords will be leading those discussions.
Well, on that note, let's wrap it up here. As always, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the Stuart era. Until next time.